Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. That one sentence can change your life. Most people lose not because they don't have talent, but because they don't act when it's hard. They wait for the perfect mood. They wait to feel right. But here's the truth. Those feelings may never come. If you keep waiting, you'll keep falling behind. The most successful people aren't the ones who always feel good. They're the ones who show up when it's uncomfortable. They push through when everything in them wants to stop. This audiobook is not about hype. It's about building a mindset that works under pressure. It's about learning to move without hesitation. Right now, you're going to learn how to force yourself to work, especially when you don't feel like it. If you're tired of making excuses and ready to build real strength, then keep listening. Your breakthrough starts here. Your new habits begin now. Chapter 1. Stand up and do it before you think. You know, one of the most important things I ever learned in my life was this. Your brain will do everything it can to stop you from doing the hard things. It will tell you to wait. It will tell you to think more. It will tell you to rest. It will tell you that maybe tomorrow is better. But the truth is, if you listen to those thoughts, you'll lose. And not just once. You'll keep losing every single day, and that builds into a pattern. You wake up with something in your heart you want to do, but your body doesn't move. You've got energy inside you, but it gets trapped under hesitation. And hesitation, if you give into it too often, becomes a habit. A weak habit, the kind that steals your progress. That's why I always say, stand up and do it before you think. I mean it. Because if you give your mind even a few seconds, it'll start talking you out of what you know you need to do. And here's the truth. Your mind doesn't care about your goals. It only cares about safety, about comfort. It wants the easiest path. And success never lives on the easiest path. It never did. Now, you don't need to feel motivated. Motivation is great when it shows up, but it's not something you can count on. You can't sit around waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect feeling. You need to build the discipline to move without it. You have to train your mind to obey your decisions, not your feelings. Feelings change every hour. Discipline sticks when you train it. You have to learn to act before the noise in your head grows too loud. You wake up and you don't feel like doing it. That's normal. It's not a sign something is wrong with you. It means you're human. But just because it's normal doesn't mean you surrender to it. That's the battle of life right there. And you don't win that battle by overthinking. You win it by standing up, physically, and getting into action. Before the thoughts come, before the doubts pile up, before your mood tries to control your day, you act. You stand up and you do. People always say, I don't feel like it. I hear that all the time. I tell them, good. That's when it matters most. If you only show up when it's easy, you'll never be strong. You'll never feel proud. You'll never know what you're capable of. Because strength isn't built when things are easy. It's built when everything inside you says not now, and you do it anyway. That's how self-respect grows. That's how confidence is born, not from talk, from action, from doing what you said you'd do, especially when you didn't feel like doing it. So, how do you do it? How do you train yourself to move without thinking? First, start by noticing your hesitation. Pay attention to those moments where you pause. That pause is where your old habits live. That pause is where most people quit. If you can catch that moment and break it by moving, you've already won half the fight. The power is in the first step. Once you start moving, something happens. Your energy shifts, your mind starts catching up to your body. You start to feel better, because motion creates momentum. Do you ever notice that when you finally start doing the thing you were avoiding, it's never as bad as you thought? That's because fear and laziness both grow in your head when you sit still, but they shrink when you move. You think too much, you start doubting, you move too slow, you start worrying. That's why speed matters. You act fast, you take control. You stand up before you give your brain a chance to negotiate with your goals. And this isn't just about work or business, this is about everything in life. You've got responsibilities, dreams, goals, people counting on you, and if you let comfort make your choices, you'll let everyone down, including yourself. Because deep down, you know when you're slacking, you know when you're making excuses, you feel it. It doesn't feel good. It eats at you. You might hide it from others, but you can't hide it from yourself. That's why you have to start proving to yourself that you can be trusted. Trusted to act, trusted to move, trusted to handle discomfort. Every time you act when it's hard, you're telling yourself, I'm in charge here. And that's powerful. That's how people change their lives. Not with big speeches, not with waiting around for motivation, but with small choices, done consistently, before the brain has time to interfere. You have to become the kind of person who responds to struggle with action, who answers doubt with movement. You feel tired? Stand up anyway. You feel lost? Do one thing that moves you forward. You feel stuck? Move your body and let the mind follow. This is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about being the kind of person who does hard things because they know easy never built anything worth having. Some people are waiting for the perfect plan. Others are waiting for the right emotion. And then there are people who just start. They don't know everything. They don't feel ready. But they move. They get into motion. And the moment they do, they change everything. Because they're building a different identity. One that isn't based on how they feel, but on what they choose. Don't underestimate the power of showing up when you don't feel like it. That decision can change your life. Not just in the long run, but today. You get better every time you show up when it's hard. You get sharper. You get tougher. You stop living like a victim and start living like someone who's in charge of their time and their choices. That's real strength. That's what you're after. People always ask, how do I stay motivated? I say, stop chasing motivation, chase discipline. Motivation might show up when it wants. Discipline stays when you don't want to. And the way to build it is by moving before your brain stops you. You've got 5 seconds to choose. 5 seconds before the old habits start speaking. So act fast. Stand up. Get started. Then let your actions build the rest. And don't talk yourself out of what you know is right. Don't say, I'll do it later or I'm too tired. You're not tired. You're just untrained in moving through resistance. And the only way to fix that is to face it. Over and over until it becomes automatic. You want to know the real difference between people who succeed and those who don't? The ones who succeed move before they're ready. They don't wait to feel like it. They feel resistance and they still choose progress. You will never rise to the next level of your life if you keep letting your emotions decide what gets done. You have to be the leader of your day, the commander of your effort. That starts the moment you wake up, that moment when you're lying in bed and your brain starts whispering, just a few more minutes. That's your moment. That's your test. And every time you say, no, I've got work to do, you get stronger. Every time you say, I'll move first and think later, you break the pattern of weakness. And you don't need to feel like a superhero to do this. You just need to stop arguing with yourself and take the first step. That's it. The first move, the first action. Stand up, get moving. Before your thoughts catch up, before the old voice takes over, before the doubts start growing. Because if you act fast enough, you'll silence them before they even speak. That's how you grow. That's how you win, one strong decision at a time. So stop giving in to your feelings. Stop letting delay steal your time. Stop waiting to feel good before you work. Stand up, move forward, take control, because nothing changes until you do. And the moment you do, you'll realize you didn't need motivation, you just needed to decide. So start now, before you think, before you talk yourself out of it, before comfort pulls you back in. Start now, and don't stop. That's how you force yourself to work when you don't feel like it. And that's how you build a life you can be proud of. Chapter 2. Break the cycle of giving in too early. Most people never reach their real potential because they stop too early. They start with good intentions, they feel inspired, they even make a little progress. But the first time it gets uncomfortable, the first time it takes longer than expected, the first time the results don't come quick, they back off. They don't push through. They walk away. And that's how the cycle of giving in begins. It starts small. One skipped task, one delay, one excuse, and before you know it, that becomes your default response to anything hard. You've got to break that cycle. You've got to stop being the person who pulls back when things get difficult. You need to become the one who leans in, the one who stays when others quit, the one who finishes when they start, not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's hard. You've done enough starting and stopping. You've had enough of the guilt that comes from quitting on yourself. It's time to build a new pattern, a new standard. You've probably felt it before. You commit to something, a new workout, a side project, waking up earlier. You do it for a day, maybe two, but then life happens. You get tired. Something unexpected shows up. You don't feel as motivated as you did on day one. So you tell yourself you'll try again tomorrow. But that tomorrow turns into a week, and then a month, and soon you're back where you started. That's the cycle that has to end. If you don't break this now, it will become your identity. You'll start to believe that you're someone who can't follow through. That belief will kill your drive. It'll show up every time you try to do something new. You'll remember all the times you stopped, all the promises you broke. And that weight will follow you around. You can't build a strong future while dragging around a weak past. You have to prove to yourself that this time is different. And here's the truth. Breaking the cycle isn't about doing something massive. It's not about working 10 hours a day or making a perfect plan. It's about not stopping when you want to. It's about continuing even when it's slow, even when it's boring, even when it's not exciting anymore. It's about showing up and doing the work even when there's no applause, no reward, no one watching. That's how you rewrite the story. That's how you rebuild trust with yourself. The most dangerous voice isn't someone else telling you to quit. It's your own voice saying, it's okay to stop. That voice sounds comforting, it sounds reasonable, but it's the same voice that's held you back for years. It's the voice that wants comfort over growth, safety over challenge. That voice will always show up, but now you're going to respond differently. You're going to say, no, I'm not quitting this time. I'm not stepping back. I've done that before, and I know where it leads. You don't need to feel ready to keep going. You just need to remember why you started. You need to feel the pain of all the times you gave up too soon. Use that as fuel. Think of the times you quit and the regret that followed. Use that as a reminder of what you're not going to repeat. You're not going to start something and walk away again. You're going to stick with it this time. You're going to feel tired and you'll keep going. You'll feel doubt and you'll keep going. That's what builds pride. That's what builds strength. And this applies to every area of your life, in your work, your health, your relationships, your personal goals. The ability to continue when it's uncomfortable is what separates people who rise from people who stay stuck. You don't rise because it's easy. You rise because you do what others don't. You keep pushing when most people have already stopped. Every time you continue through resistance, you're breaking the cycle. You're creating a new habit, and that habit will become the foundation of your future. You'll start to believe in yourself again. You'll walk with more confidence, not because someone gave it to you, but because you earned it. You'll know that you can be counted on, not just by others, but by yourself. And make no mistake, there will always be moments where stopping feels easier, where quitting feels justified. But that's when your decision matters most. Anyone can keep going when it's fun. It's what you do when it's not fun that defines who you are. Do you give in again? Or do you take a breath, feel the discomfort, and keep moving? You have to stop seeing quitting as a small thing. It's not small. It shapes your identity. Every time you stop early, you're telling yourself that your goals don't matter, that your word doesn't mean much, that your comfort is more important than your commitment. That's not who you want to be. That's not who you're going to be. So make a decision now. Decide that you're done breaking promises to yourself. Decide that you're going to finish what you start. And that doesn't mean you won't struggle. It means you won't walk away because of struggle. You'll deal with it. You'll adjust. You'll grow through it. But you won't quit just because it's not easy. This is how real change happens, not from one big speech or one big moment, but from the daily decision to keep going, from the small act of finishing what you start, from refusing to give up when things slow down. That's how discipline is built. That's how pride is earned. That's how you build a life that reflects strength, not weakness. You need to catch yourself in the act of giving in. The next time you're about to stop, pause. Ask yourself, what happens if I quit again? Feel that question. Really feel it. Picture where quitting has taken you before. Picture how it felt to let yourself down. And then use that pain to move forward. Not to punish yourself, but to push yourself. Start noticing your patterns. Do you give in when you're tired, when you're bored, when things don't go your way? Find your triggers. Become aware. Because you can't change what you ignore. Once you see it, you can challenge it. You can say, not this time. I'm doing this differently now. And when you do push through, even once, something amazing happens. You begin to shift your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who quits. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. That shift is priceless, because once you believe you're someone who doesn't give up, you start to act like it. And that belief fuels every future effort. You deserve to see what your life looks like when you don't stop early, when you stay with something long enough to see real results. You deserve the pride that comes from saying, I used to quit, but not anymore. That pride changes how you carry yourself. It changes how others see you, but more importantly, it changes how you see yourself. Don't expect perfection. Expect effort. Expect the struggle. But meet it with fight. Meet it with commitment. Meet it with action. Break the cycle of giving in by replacing it with the habit of showing up, day after day, whether you feel like it or not. And if you've quit in the past, forgive yourself. But don't stay there. Let the past remind you, not define you. Use it as proof of what you no longer accept. Use it to raise your standard. This is your time to break free from the pattern that's held you back. This is your time to write a different story. A story where you don't stop at the first obstacle. where you don't talk yourself out of what matters. A story where you push through, you show up and you win. Not because it was easy, but because you finally decided that giving up too soon is no longer part of who you are.
Chapter 3. Control your mind when it wants the easy way. There's a moment in everyone's day where the mind quietly leans toward the easier choice. No loud warnings, no alarms, just a quiet pull in the direction of what's comfortable. You sit down to work, and a small voice inside suggests a quick break. You plan to get started, but your thoughts drift to your phone or a snack or anything other than what needs to be done. And that's where the real fight begins. Not out in the world, but inside your own head. If you want to change your life, you have to learn how to take control of that moment. You have to know when your mind is trying to protect you from effort. Not because something's wrong, but because it's trained to avoid anything that feels hard. The truth is, your brain will always lean toward the path with less resistance. That's its job, to conserve energy, to keep you safe. But just because it wants the easy way doesn't mean it knows what's best for you. The easy way rarely leads to growth. It rarely builds character, and it almost never delivers the kind of results that create real pride. The easy way is how people stay stuck. The easy way is why most people wake up 5 years later wondering what happened to their goals. You need to become aware of that internal shift. You need to feel when your thoughts are drifting toward comfort and convenience, because that's not weakness. That's your default setting. And default settings must be replaced with conscious choices. This is not about being harsh or aggressive with yourself. It's about being firm, being honest, being aware. Every time your mind starts reaching for what's easier, you have an opportunity to step in and take control. You have the power to interrupt the pattern, but you have to catch it early, before it builds momentum, before it convinces you that it's a good idea. Most people aren't failing because they don't have a plan. They're failing because their thoughts keep steering them off the path. Their mind tells them to slow down when they need to push. Their mind tells them to relax when they need to focus. And if you never challenge those thoughts, they'll win. Every time, not because they're right, but because they're consistent. Thoughts like that don't need to be strong, they just need to show up often. And they will, especially when you're tired, especially when you're overwhelmed, especially when you're close to making progress. You have to get better at recognizing that voice and not letting it decide for you. That voice that says, do it later, or you deserve a break, or just skip it today. That voice isn't helping you grow. It's not concerned with your goals. It's just repeating what's familiar. And if you keep listening to it, you'll keep repeating the same results you've always had. Nothing changes until you change the way you respond to your thoughts. Start building the habit of questioning your inner dialogue. If your mind tells you to quit early, ask why. If it tells you something is too hard, ask what's actually difficult about it. If it tells you to take the easy way, remind yourself what that's cost you before. Challenge the thought. Don't obey it automatically, because you are not your thought. You are the one who decides what gets your energy. You are the one who chooses which thought gets action. And once you realize that, you'll feel your strength come back. You'll see that discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being in charge. Every time you resist that easy way, you're taking your power back. You're telling your brain, I see what you're doing, but I'm not following today. You don't have to shout. You don't need to fight yourself. You just need to notice, pause, and choose differently. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's inconvenient. That pause, that decision to stay on track, is how real progress is made. Some days your mind will be louder than others. Some days it will feel like every part of you wants to stop. That's normal. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It just means you're doing something that matters. You wouldn't feel resistance if the work didn't matter. And the fact that you feel that internal pushback is proof you're stepping outside the comfort zone. Don't see that resistance as a reason to stop. See it as a signal to keep going. The people who master their minds aren't born with something special. They just got tired of being controlled by thoughts that never led them anywhere worth going. They got tired of being distracted, tired of procrastinating, tired of letting emotions steer the wheel. So they made a different choice. They built awareness. They started acting before comfort could take over. And over time, their mind learned a new path. It takes practice. You're not going to silence that easy way voice overnight. But every day that you choose to do the thing anyway, even when your mind tells you not to, you get stronger. And eventually that voice loses power. Not because it disappears, but because you stop listening to it. You've heard it enough times to know where it leads. Control doesn't mean you won't feel tempted. Control means you know how to respond to temptation. Control means you've trained your reaction. You no longer believe every excuse your mind throws at you. You no longer let one bad thought become a bad day. You redirect. You refocus. You remind yourself what you really want. Not what feels easy, but what feels right. And don't underestimate how much better life becomes when you stop giving your energy to thoughts that pull you down. You think more clearly. You work more consistent. You start building momentum. And that momentum makes hard things feel a little easier. You begin to see results. You begin to feel in control again. That's what most people are missing. They're not lazy. They're just stuck in mental habits that drag them off course. You want to feel proud at the end of the day. Then do the work your mind tells you to avoid. Start doing the things that push you forward instead of just getting you through. Stop chasing temporary relief and start choosing long-term progress. That's what gives you real confidence. That's what helps you sleep at night. Knowing that you did what you needed to do, not because it was easy, but because you refused to take the easy way out. You don't need more motivation. You need more control. Not control over your schedule. Control over your thought. Control over what gets your attention. Control over which ideas you act on. Because not all thoughts deserve your time. Not all ideas deserve your energy. Some thoughts are just noise, and your job is to not let them lead. You already know what you need to do. What's stopping you is not a lack of information. It's a lack of mental discipline. It's the habit of following whatever thought feels comfortable. Break that habit. Train yourself to pause. Train yourself to choose effort, even when comfort calls. That's how you level up. That's how you become someone who doesn't get thrown off course by every little thought that pops up. And it won't always be pretty. There will be messy days. There will be slip-ups. But those don't define you. What defines you is your ability to come back stronger, to recognize the pattern and interrupt it faster next time. Every time you choose the harder path, every time you reject the shortcut, every time you push through mental resistance, you build strength that no one can take from you. Control your mind when it wants the easy way, not by fighting it, but by leading it. Be the one who decides what gets done. Be the one who doesn't fall for the same trap twice. Be the one who sees through the lie of comfort and reaches for something better. And when you do that long enough, something changes. The mind that once held you back begins to work for you. The thoughts that once distracted you become easier to ignore. The pull toward the easy way loses its grip. Because now you've trained your brain to respect your choices. You've shown yourself that you're in charge, and that's when the real transformation begins.
Chapter 4. Tell your body what to do right now.
There's a moment where your body sits still and your mind starts looking for a way out. Maybe you're on the edge of getting up, ready to start what needs to be done, and then your legs don't move, your arms stay still, your back leans a little further into the chair. You say you're going to do something, but your body doesn't listen. That's the exact moment you have to speak with full clarity, not with doubt or hesitation, but with command. You must tell your body what to do right now, not later, not soon, but now. Because if you wait, your body will grow heavier, your energy will drop lower, and that window of action will disappear. Most people think discipline is just about thoughts, but it's also about the body. When your alarm rings and your eyes open, what happens next isn't about motivation, it's about action. The longer you stay in bed, the louder the comfort grows. The slower you move, the easier it is to stay still. Your body has memory. It remembers habits. It remembers comfort, and if you keep letting it choose, it will return to what's familiar. That's why you have to interrupt it. You have to move before the body has time to say no. Discipline isn't about how you feel, it's about what you tell yourself to do, and then making your body do it. You train that like a muscle. The first few times, it'll feel unnatural. You'll want to negotiate. You'll hear excuses in your head. But that's the process. That's how change feels. You're not failing because you feel resistance. You're growing because you're pushing through it. You want to train your body to obey your decisions. That means when you say stand up, you stand. When you say start, you begin. No debate. No dragging it out, no warming up your mind with another scroll through your phone. You tell your body, and it listens. That's where power lives, not in feelings, but in follow-through. There's power in decisive action. You can talk all day about what you want to do, but until you get your body involved, it's just noise. Talking doesn't burn calories, wishing doesn't finish tasks. Thinking doesn't build a business. Your body has to join the process. Movement is where momentum starts. One step, one stretch, one push. That's how the day changes. That's how the mind shifts. You don't think your way into action. You move your way into progress. You've probably had days where your brain was full of goals, but your body never got involved. You planned. You imagined. You felt inspired. But nothing happened, and by the end of the day you were frustrated. Not because you didn't care, but because you didn't move. Don't let that happen again. Don't let your body keep you locked in place. It's not in charge anymore. You are. It starts with one move. Stand up when you say you're going to stand. Walk when you say you're going to walk. Pick up the book when you say it's time to read. Open the laptop and start typing when you said you would. Don't think. Just act. And once your body moves, the rest will follow. You'll find that your energy shifts once you stop delaying. The tiredness you felt begins to fade when you act. The doubt shrinks once you begin. It's not about waiting for the right moment. It's about creating the right moment through action. Your body doesn't need to feel ready. It needs to be directed. It responds to clarity. If you speak to it like you mean it, it moves. But if you hesitate, if you sound unsure, it listens to that too. It takes your uncertainty as a sign to wait. That's why your commands need to be clear and firm, not harsh, just certain. You decide, then you move. That's how you become consistent. That's how you break patterns of delay. There are going to be moments when your body resists. You'll feel the weight of your limbs, the pull of laziness, the desire to just sit a little longer. That's the exact moment you remind yourself. This is when it counts. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard. Not when it feels natural, but when it feels uncomfortable. Because every time you move through that discomfort, you become stronger. You show yourself that you are in control. that your life is not run by cravings, by moods, or by convenience. It's led by your decisions. And those decisions are real only when followed by action. You've got to stop waiting for energy to come before you move. Movement creates energy. Action generates clarity. The body follows your instructions, but only if those instructions are loud enough to override the excuses. That means no more giving in to the later mindset. Later becomes never when you don't act now. Stop postponing your life because you don't feel like starting. And it's not about doing everything all at once. It's about doing what you said you'd do. Start small if you have to. Just don't stay still. Don't let your body become a prison for your progress. When you sit in hesitation too long, your mind becomes cloudy. Your decisions lose weight, and your days start blending together. That's how people drift through life. They stop telling their body what to do. They let it choose, and it chooses the path of least resistance. Every time. But that's not you anymore. You've decided to live differently. You've decided to direct your life with intention. And that begins with your physical actions. It's not just about mindset. It's about behavior. If you want change, your body has to participate. Get up. Move forward. Follow through. It's simple, but it's not easy. That's why most people don't do it. But you will. There will be moments when you don't believe you have the energy. But belief comes after movement. The body learns through repetition. If you train it to respond to your commands, over time, it becomes automatic. It stops resisting. It starts cooperating. You stand up when it's time. You begin without drama. You move without delay. That's the result of consistent discipline. Not just in the mind, but in the body. This isn't about being perfect. It's about refusing to let your body take control of your future. It's about showing up for yourself in real ways. Not in words. In action. It's not enough to want to change. You have to act like it. You have to move like it. You have to live like it. Each time you move when your body doesn't want to, you're teaching it who's in charge. You're showing yourself that strength isn't just in the muscles, it's in the decision to lead. And when you do that enough, you stop breaking promises to yourself. You stop starting and stopping. You become the kind of person who follows through. Not because it's easy, not because you always feel like it, but because that's who you've chosen to be. You've spent enough time stuck in the cycle of delay. You've had enough days where your goals stayed in your head because your body never got involved. That ends now. You're not going to sit there anymore and watch your life drift by. You're going to take control. You're going to lead with action every day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Tell your body what to do right now. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the feeling to come. Speak with certainty. Act with urgency. And move like your future depends on it. Because it does. Every second you act when you don't feel like it is a vote for the life you want to build. So move. Now. Not later. Not soon. Now. And keep going until your body learns that when you speak, it listens.
Chapter 5. Say no to comfort and yes to progress. There comes a time in your life when you have to make a real decision about what matters most. It's not a loud moment. It's not surrounded by applause. It doesn't come with music or celebration. It's quiet. It shows up in the middle of your ordinary day, and it waits for your answer. Will you choose comfort again, or will you finally step into progress? Not someday. Not when everything feels perfect, but right now when it's inconvenient, when it's tough, when it requires more from you than you've given before. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it never leads to anything worth having. That extra hour of sleep, that skipped workout,
that ignored task. They all feel better right now, but they don't build anything. They don't create momentum. They don't make you proud. And deep down you know it. You can feel the difference between easy choices and meaningful ones. Comfort may feel like relief today, but it becomes regret tomorrow. Progress demands a different version of you, one that understands how to say no, not to other people but to your own habits, to the part of you that wants things to stay the same, that wants rest without effort, that wants rewards without work. You've lived with that version of yourself long enough. It's time for a change. It's time to put your growth ahead of your cravings, your future ahead of your feelings. Growth isn't a result of a big decision you make once. It's a pattern of small decisions you make every single day. You have to learn how to sit in discomfort and stay focused. You have to choose effort when you want escape. You have to move forward even when you'd rather sit down. That's the real test. Not how you act when you feel good, but how you respond when you don't. Saying no to comfort doesn't mean you live a life of pain or pressure. It means you stop letting your desire for ease make all your decisions. It means you learn to think beyond the next 5 minutes. You begin to ask better questions. Will this help me grow? Will this move me forward? Will this make me better? If not, then it doesn't deserve your time. It doesn't deserve your attention. Most people never ask those questions. They live on autopilot. They wake up, react to their emotions, and repeat yesterday. They want progress, but they won't pay the price. They keep choosing comfort and then wonder why nothing is changing. You can't live like that anymore. You can't keep making the same choices and expect a different result. That's not how change works. You have to earn it, and that starts by doing what's uncomfortable. Comfort will offer you a seat. It will invite you to stay the same. It will tell you to take it easy. It will give you every reason to avoid the work. But progress will call you out. It will push you to keep going. It will stretch you. It will challenge your excuses, and it will demand more from you than you thought you had. But in return, it will give you what comfort never could: growth, pride, purpose, and real momentum. You have to decide which matters more, because you can't serve both. You can't keep running back to what feels good and expect to feel proud. You can't stay in the same place and expect to move forward. Life doesn't work that way. You either step up or you fall behind. You either lean in or you fade out. It's one or the other, every time. It's in those small choices. Do you wake up when the alarm rings, or do you snooze and delay the day? Do you start that project now, or do you say later again? Do you face the hard conversation, or do you avoid it like last time? Those choices look small, but they build who you are. They create your future, not in one day, but over time, over weeks, over years. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be consistent. You do have to recognize when you're slipping back into what's easy, and when that moment comes, and it will, you need to stand tall and say no. Not this time. Not today. I choose progress. Today, I do the work. Today, I move forward no matter how I feel. That's the kind of mindset that changes lives. And it's not about becoming someone new. It's about uncovering the stronger version of you that's been buried under years of delay, doubt, and comfort. That version is already in you. It's the part of you that's tired of staying stuck. The part that wants more. The part that doesn't want to look back with regret. That version is waiting, but it can only show up when you stop protecting your comfort and start protecting your future. There will be resistance. There will be days when you're tempted to quit. There will be voices in your head telling you to slow down, to take it easy, to try tomorrow. That's when you have to speak louder, not with words, but with actions. Actions that say I'm not going back. I've done that before, and I know where it leads. I'm choosing differently now. You want change? Then do what most people won't. Say no to comfort. Say no to short-term pleasure. Say no to habits that waste your time. Say yes to the work that matters. Say yes to the routine that builds discipline. Say yes to the life you know you're capable of creating. And say it not once, but every single day. This is not about motivation. It's not about hype. It's about choice. It's about decision. Comfort will always be available. You'll never run out of chances to do nothing. But progress is rare. It only shows up for people who chase it. For people who sacrifice ease for effort. For people who trade the couch for commitment. You can be that person. But it starts now. Not next week. Not after another delay. Now. And here's the best part. Progress feels better than comfort ever could. It doesn't feel better right away. But it lasts. It builds. It creates momentum. That turns into confidence. Confidence turns into action. And action changes everything. The people you admire, the ones who seem strong and focused and consistent, they weren't born that way. They just made different choices. They built different habits. They learned how to walk away from what felt good, so they could build something great. You've got that same choice today, and you'll have it again tomorrow. Every time you're tempted to do what's easy, remember what it's cost you before. The time lost, the energy wasted, the frustration of knowing you could have done more. Let that fuel your decision. Let it remind you that comfort is a trap, not a reward. You weren't made to live a life of ease. You were made to grow, to build, to create, to lead. And none of that happens by accident. It happens when you step into discomfort on purpose, when you show up anyway, when you do the thing you've been avoiding. That's where progress lives, and it's waiting for you. So from this point on, speak clearly to yourself. Tell your old habits that they're done running your day. Tell the comfort you've been chasing that it's no longer welcome, and then go to work. Do the thing that moves your life forward, even if it's hard, even if you're tired, even if no one else is watching. Do it anyway, because that's how progress is built, one honest decision at a time. Say no to comfort. Say yes to growth. Say yes to movement. Say yes to discipline. Say yes to becoming the person you said you'd be. Say yes right now, and don't look back.
Chapter 6. Act fast so doubt has no time to grow. Every time you hesitate, even for a few seconds, something starts to form inside you. That something is doubt. It doesn't shout at first. It whispers. It asks quiet questions that slow you down. Are you sure? Is this the right time? What if it doesn't work out? Those questions don't help you grow. They make you freeze, and the longer you entertain them, the stronger they get. That's why action must come before analysis. You've got to act fast. You've got to move before your mind talks you out of it. This doesn't mean being reckless or careless. It means you stop sitting in your own thoughts so long that they begin to steal your courage. It means when something inside you says do it, you respond with movement, not with delay. Because when you delay, your mind fills in the space with all the reasons to hold back. And the more reasons you stack, the less likely you are to follow through. You've been in that place before. You've had an idea. You felt something pushing you. But instead of acting, you thought about it too much. You waited. You made plans. You asked questions. You gave yourself time. And by the time you finally stood up, the energy was gone. The moment passed. The fire faded. That's the cost of waiting too long. That's what doubt does when you give it space to grow. Real growth starts with speed.
Not speed for the sake of moving fast, but speed for the sake of protecting your momentum. When you feel the spark, act. Don't wait for the perfect words. Don't wait for the perfect timing. Don't wait to feel completely ready. Because the truth is, most of the time, you won't, and that's okay. Readiness is built through action, not through thinking. Most people get trapped in overthinking. They want to be sure before they take a step. But life doesn't give you certainty. It gives you opportunity. And opportunity doesn't stay open forever. It shows up, and then it moves on to someone else if you're not ready. That's the truth. You've missed enough of those moments already. You've seen what happens when you pause for too long. It doesn't make you smarter. It just makes you stuck. You can think about the workout. You can research the perfect plan. But if you don't show up and lift the weight, nothing changes. You can dream about starting a business. You can watch all the tutorials, but if you don't start, it stays a dream. The mind will always give you a list of reasons why today isn't the day. But if you keep listening to that list, you'll never run out of excuses, and you'll run out of time. You've got to move before the excuses get organized. That means when you wake up and feel the hesitation creeping in, you don't argue with it. You get up anyway. You don't wait for your thoughts to align. You don't wait for the fear to go away. You take the first step, and then another. That's how you break the pattern of self-doubt. That's how you silence the voice that's been holding you back. Every second you give to hesitation is a second you could be using to grow. You're not building confidence by thinking about it. You're building confidence by doing. And the faster you act, the less time your mind has to doubt you. That's how you gain control. That's how you get stronger. You stop feeding the thoughts that say what if, and you start feeding the actions that say watch me. You'll never be perfect, and you don't need to be. You just need to be honest with yourself. If you keep hesitating, nothing gets done. If you keep letting fear creep in, you'll keep watching your goals stay out of reach. That's not who you want to be anymore. You want to be someone who moves with clarity, who acts with purpose, who doesn't give doubt a seat at the table. So when you feel the hesitation, recognize it, and then do the opposite. Get up, take the call, send the email, start the task, speak the truth. Don't wait until your nerves calm down. Move while they're still there, because that's how strength is built. You don't wait for fear to leave. You prove to yourself that you can act with fear in the room. Doubt loves comfort. It thrives when you choose what's easy, but it dies in action. It disappears when you do the thing you've been avoiding. You've probably noticed that the task you dreaded felt smaller the moment you started. That conversation you were anxious about felt lighter once you had it. That step you were scared to take didn't seem as big once your feet moved. That's the power of action. It breaks the illusion of fear. You don't need a grand plan. You don't need a 10-step strategy. You just need to start. And not tomorrow. Not later today. Now. Even if you don't know how it ends. Even if it's messy. Even if it's awkward. Because forward is better than perfect. Movement is better than waiting. Doing something, even small, is better than sitting in doubt. Every time you act fast, you create a new pattern. You train your brain to see movement as the first step, not the last. You teach your body that hesitation doesn't win here anymore. That doubt doesn't run the show. That you are no longer someone who pauses when it's time to begin. You become someone who leads with action. And that identity changes everything. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to stop giving fear so much power. Take it with you if you must. Let it talk. But don't let it chew. Don't let it slow you down. You've done that enough. You've seen where that path leads. It leads to wasted time, lost chances, and regret that shows up later when it's too late to fix. But it's not too late now. You have this moment, and what you do with it decides everything. Not what you feel, not what you think, what you do. So make a different choice today. Choose to act. Choose to break the pattern. Choose to move forward. Not just in theory, but in real action. Start showing yourself that you can be trusted, not just to have good ideas, but to act on them, to follow through, to respond with energy when it's needed. That's how you build real momentum, one fast action at a time, one step without hesitation, one decision that says, I go first, not fear. You know what needs to be done. You've known it for a while. The difference now is that you're no longer going to wait. You're no longer going to let doubt talk you out of your future. You're going to act. Because progress doesn't wait for anyone, and neither will you. You've wasted enough time thinking. Now it's time to move. Now it's time to do right now, before doubt has a chance to grow.
Chapter 7. Create pressure so your brain gets serious now. If your brain doesn't feel urgency, it won't change how it operates. It will keep coasting. It will keep playing small. It will keep choosing comfort. That's how the mind works when there's no real demand placed on it. It relaxes, it settles, it avoids challenge. And if you're not careful, that pattern becomes your life. You start putting things off without realizing it. You start saying someday without meaning to. You start treating your goals like optional tasks instead of necessary action. And before long you're stuck in routines that go nowhere. The solution isn't more time. The solution is pressure. You need to create pressure on purpose so your brain stops playing around, so it stops treating your dreams like they don't matter. You need to make the stakes real. Not later, now, because without pressure, your brain assumes there's no cost to waiting. It assumes it can try again next week. And that belief destroys momentum. Nothing makes your brain take action like pressure does. Not comfort, not inspiration. Pressure. Most people run from pressure. They associate it with stress, with burnout, with overwhelm. But pressure, when created the right way, is what sharpens you. It brings focus. It removes distractions. It forces your mind to lock in and get serious. Without pressure, everything feels optional. And if everything feels optional, nothing gets done with intensity. You move slower. You delay decisions. You waste hours on things that don't matter. That's what happens when you treat your goals like they can wait. You need to flip that. You need to stop waiting to feel pressure from the outside and start applying it from the inside. You create it by setting real deadlines. You create it by committing publicly. You create it by attaching meaning to the task. You remind yourself that this isn't just another day. This is your chance to change. This is your opportunity to grow, and you either treat it like it matters, or you throw it away. When your brain knows something is urgent, it reorganizes itself. It stops wandering. It stops making excuses. That's why people who have no choice get things done. That's why the last hour before a deadline is always the most productive. Your brain finally understands it's now or never. So why wait until the last hour? Why keep pretending there's time? Why not treat every day like the deadline is already here? You don't need a crisis to get serious. You just need to stop giving yourself unlimited chances. Start tightening the gap between intention and execution. Stop allowing your mind to delay just because no one's watching. If you don't take yourself seriously, your brain won't either. It will match your energy. If you treat your tasks casually, your brain will treat them like background noise. If you speak with urgency, it will rise to the occasion. Apply pressure by limiting how much time you allow for thinking. Set a timer. Give yourself 30 minutes.
Not all day. Not forever. 30 minutes to make progress. 30 minutes to finish. When your brain knows the clock is ticking, it shifts gears. It stops overanalyzing. It starts moving. It starts working with what you have instead of stalling for more. Create pressure by speaking out loud what you plan to do, not to make noise, but to make it real. Saying it out loud signals to your brain that this matters. I will finish this task by 3 p.m. I will start in the next 5 minutes. This will be done today. Clear, direct, non-negotiable. You're not asking yourself, you're telling yourself. The problem with low pressure is that it makes quitting easy. You start something, get distracted, and tell yourself you'll come back to it later. And maybe you do, but maybe you don't. That's the risk. That's the danger. When there's no pressure, there's no urgency. And when there's no urgency, the finish line keeps moving. You keep chasing something that never feels close enough to commit. Raise the pressure. Lock in on one task. Shut off everything else. Turn your phone off. Close the tabs. Block the noise. Create an environment where your brain feels like this is the only thing that matters right now. Because in that moment, it is. Don't wait until the world forces you into pressure. Don't wait for failure, or embarrassment, or rock bottom. Build the pressure now, on your terms. You train your brain by how you treat your time. If you treat it loosely, your mind will stay scattered. But if you respect every minute like it counts, your brain will start focusing faster. It will stop looking for distraction. It will begin to understand that when it's time to work, it's time to lock in. You've got to teach your brain the difference between preparation and performance. Most people prepare endlessly and never perform. You don't need more preparation. You need pressure that leads to action. Write your goal on paper and give it a deadline. Not a soft one, a firm one. Make it short. Make it tight, not to stress yourself, but to focus yourself. The tighter the timeline, the clearer the target. Your brain doesn't work well with vague timelines. It doesn't respond to someday, but it sharpens under deadlines. It gets creative under pressure. It finds a way when the window is small. Don't confuse pressure with panic. Panic is emotional. Pressure is intentional. You create it to bring your mind into alignment with your actions. You create it to get real results, and it works. Because it signals to your system that this isn't optional. That you are not waiting anymore. That something is happening now. Most of the best breakthroughs you've ever had came when there was no way out. When you had to finish. When you had no choice. But you don't need to live in crisis to create urgency. You just need to decide that your goals are serious. And then build your day around that seriousness. Every choice, every block of time, every commitment, it all must carry weight. You'll notice something when you do this. Your distractions get quieter. Your doubt gets smaller. Your momentum increases. Not because the tasks got easier, but because your mind finally understands that this matters. And when your brain believes it matters, it goes all in. It stops pulling back. It stops wondering. It goes to work. You'll have moments where you want to lower the pressure, where you want to give yourself more time, more space, more ease. That's when you remind yourself what low pressure has given you in the past. Delays, excuses, half-finished ideas. That's not who you're becoming. You're not trying to avoid discomfort. You're trying to create growth. And growth happens when you increase the demand on yourself. If you want to grow fast, raise your standard. Raise the bar for how focused you are. Raise the bar for how you treat your time. Don't try to feel ready. Just start with pressure. And let that pressure shape a better version of you. A version that works faster, thinks clearer, and moves with purpose. This isn't about burnout. It's about choosing to push your limits on purpose. With structure, with clarity, You don't wait for inspiration, you build pressure until the mind wakes up. You stack your environment so distraction has no room. You shrink your deadlines so your thoughts don't drift. You make the task so real that your brain has no choice but to deliver. And once your brain learns to respond under pressure, it begins to expect it. It begins to rise naturally. It begins to get serious faster. You'll stop needing long rituals to get started. You'll stop waiting for the mood to arrive. You'll sit down, feel the weight of your intention, and that's when the shift happens. That's when you stop living with scattered energy. That's when your output starts matching your ambition. So make a promise to yourself today. No more soft goals. No more open timelines. No more treating your work like it can wait. Apply pressure where it counts. Give your mind something clear, urgent, and meaningful to respond to. Train yourself to start fast, stay locked in, and finish strong. Because once your brain learns what real pressure feels like, it stops wasting time. It stops drifting. It stops hiding in excuses, and it starts delivering the kind of results you've been waiting for. Not later, not when the conditions are right, but now, because you made it serious, and that changed everything.
Chapter 8. Be the person who doesn't skip hard work. Everyone wants results. Everyone wants growth, success, strength, and improvement. But most people avoid the one thing that actually creates all of it: hard work. Not the kind of work you do when it's easy, not the kind you do when you're excited, but the work you do when you'd rather be anywhere else. That work builds you. That work separates you. That work creates the life most people will never have because they weren't willing to earn it. If you want to rise, you have to decide to be the person who doesn't skip hard work. Not once in a while, not only on good days, every single time. This is about building a reputation with yourself. A personal standard that says, I show up no matter what. That's where confidence comes from. It's not something you find. It's something you earn by doing what's required, not what's convenient. You stop skipping the effort. You stop dodging the uncomfortable tasks. You stop treating hard work like something optional. There's no shortcut to building a life that matters. There's no secret way around the effort. If you want to be proud of who you are, you have to go through the grind. You have to do the things most people will avoid. And not just do them, but do them with consistency. That's what creates discipline. That's what strengthens your character, not the talk, not the intentions, the action, the follow-through. Think about how many times you've skipped the hard part. You started something with energy, but the moment it got tough, you stepped back. Maybe you told yourself it wasn't the right time. Maybe you promised you'd do it later, but deep down you knew. You knew you were stepping around the hard work, and every time you did that, you chipped away at your self-respect. You made it easier to skip again. You trained your brain to look for the exit instead of pushing through the wall. That stops now. From this point forward, you draw a line. You make a decision. You become the kind of person who shows up for the hard stuff. You stop looking for easy. You start chasing the challenge. You begin to understand that your future is not shaped by how many breaks you take. It's shaped by how often you do what's hard when you don't want to. When you skip hard work, you rob yourself of progress. You slow down your growth. You teach yourself that pressure is something to run from. But when you face it head on, something shifts. You become sharper. You become more focused. You stop fearing effort and start respecting it. You realize that no matter how big your goals are, they're all built by showing up when it's difficult. Hard work isn't punishment. It's preparation. It's what makes you capable. It's what builds endurance. The more you face it, the more you grow. The more you avoid it,
the smaller your confidence becomes, because you can't lie to yourself. You know when you're slacking, you know when you're holding back, and that quiet voice inside you that says, you could have done more, that voice doesn't go away until you change your standard. Decide that skipping isn't part of who you are. When others take the shortcut, you take the stairs. When others delay, you dig in, not because it's easy, because it's necessary. You want to be great, then do what great people do. They don't skip the work. They don't hide when it gets tough. They take pride in pushing through it. You don't have to be the most talented. You just have to be the most reliable, the one who can be counted on, even by yourself. Your habits tell your future. You can say what you want, but your actions reveal the truth. Are you someone who keeps starting over because you never pushed through the hard part? Or are you the person who sticks with it, even when everything in you wants to quit? That answer determines everything. Most people never reach their full potential because they never learn how to stay with something that challenges them. They jump from goal to goal, hoping to find something easier, but that's not how mastery works. That's not how success is built. You have to lean into the repetition. You have to stay when it's uncomfortable. You have to do the work you don't feel like doing. And the truth is, no one is watching as closely as you are. No one knows how many times you bailed. No one knows how often you left something half-finished. But you know, and if you want to live with real self-respect, that's the part you have to clean up. You don't owe it to anyone else. You owe it to yourself. You deserve to feel what it's like to follow through completely, to walk away from a task, knowing you gave it your all. That feel, it stays with you. It builds pride, and pride leads to consistency. There will be days where the work feels heavier than usual, days where your motivation is gone. That's when your decision matters most. If you only show up when it's easy, you'll never build anything strong. It's your consistency through discomfort that changes you. You start to feel unstoppable, not because everything is easy, but because you've trained yourself to move anyway. Don't let the world convince you that success comes from tricks or hacks. It doesn't. It comes from relentless effort. It comes from outlasting your own excuses. It comes from being the person who gets up and puts in the work even when it's boring, even when it's slow, even when there's no visible reward in the moment. That's what makes you solid. That's what gives you momentum. You want to feel powerful? Earn it. Earn it through daily action. Earn it by keeping your word to yourself. And if you've built a habit of skipping, you can break it. Start today. Pick one thing you've been avoiding and do it. Not perfectly, not dramatically, just do it. Start showing your mind and body that you are no longer someone who looks for a way out. You're someone who sees hard work and steps into it. Over time, that becomes who you are. And when that happens, everything else becomes easier. Your goals become clearer. Your confidence rises. Your results show up. Because you stopped disappearing when it got hard. Make your name mean something to you. When you say you're going to do something, do it. When it's time to work, work. No skipping, no stalling, no soft exits. Build that muscle until it's automatic, until doing the hard thing becomes normal, until your first instinct is to engage, not escape. You're not here to be average. You're not here to get by. You're here to build something that matters. That takes effort. That takes grit. That takes days where you do the work no one else sees. But in time, those unseen hours become undeniable results, and people will wonder how you did it. The truth, you didn't skip the part they avoided. You didn't run from the struggle. You embraced it. You owned it. You did the hard work, and you kept doing it. That's the difference. That's the choice. Be the person who doesn't skip. Be the one who does what's necessary. Every single time. Not because it's fun, not because you feel like it, but because that's who you are now. A builder, a doer, a finisher. Let everyone else search for shortcuts. You know where progress lives. It lives in the work, and you're not afraid of it anymore. You've made your decision. No skipping, just effort. Every day, no matter what. Chapter 9. Do what matters even when nothing feels right. There are days when your energy feels low and your thoughts feel heavy. Days when your mind is scattered and your emotions are all over the place. You wake up and nothing feels right. Your mood is off. The motivation isn't there, the world feels distant, and you don't feel like yourself. Those days aren't rare. Everyone faces them, but what separates those who grow from those who stay stuck is how they respond to that feeling. Because the truth is, your progress doesn't care how you feel. The task still needs to be done. The work still matters. And the only thing that makes a difference is whether or not you do what needs to be done, especially on the days when everything feels off. You don't need to feel amazing to take action. You don't need to feel ready to move forward. What you need is to remind yourself that your emotions don't control your direction. You can feel unsure and still do the work. You can feel low and still take the next step. Waiting to feel right is a trap. Because feelings change, and if you keep waiting for them to align perfectly, you'll lose more time than you can afford to give. You've been through those days before. The ones where you sat in your own head too long. The ones where you told yourself you'd do it later. The ones where the hours slipped away, and by the end of the day, you felt even worse. Not because the feelings stayed, but because you didn't act. That's the cycle you have to break. You don't need to be in a perfect mindset to get things done. You need to be committed enough to do them anyway. This is what mental strength really means. Not pretending to be fine, but showing up even when you're not. It's refusing to let your inner state decide what gets done today. It's the decision to move forward without waiting for the storm to pass. You don't escape low days by doing nothing. You get through them by staying in motion. Small steps, clear focus, one task at a time. You'll never control every thought or emotion that shows up, but you can control what you do next. And what you do next is what shapes your day. Not the way you feel, not the way things look, but the actions you choose to take. The most powerful version of you isn't the one who always feels great. It's the one who works through the hard moments. The one who shows up when the mood is missing. The one who doesn't let discomfort become a reason to stop. You've got to trust that progress is happening, even when it doesn't feel like it. The days that seem slow, the days that feel off, they still count. You might not feel the impact right away, but every bit of effort stacks. Every action adds up. Even the smallest move forward on a rough day is a step in the right direction. You might not see the result today, but your future self will thank you for not quitting. The mind will offer you 1,000 reasons to slow down or stop. It will tell you that you need to feel better first, that you need more clarity, that you're not in the right space. But those reasons are just noise. They're not facts. They're just echoes of your discomfort. You don't need to argue with them. You just need to act anyway. Do the task, make the call, finish the workout, whatever it is, do it, because that's how you regain control. That's how you shift the day back into your hands. You won't always feel strong, but you can always act strong. You can carry your weakness with discipline. You can show up without needing the mood to carry you. This is what separates people who keep momentum from people who lose it every time something feels off. They know how to keep moving when it's cloudy inside. They know how to do the work when the energy is low. They don't treat bad days like an excuse to disconnect from their goal. You must remind yourself that your feelings don't tell the whole story. Just because something feels wrong doesn't mean you're broken. Just because your energy is off doesn't mean the day is wasted. You can still win the day by focusing on what matters most and doing it anyway. Focus on what's essential and take the emotion out of it. Not in a cold way, but in a responsible way. The way a leader shows up for a team. You become the leader of your own time and energy. You've already had enough days where you didn't act. You've seen how that feels. The guilt, the heaviness, the sense that time slipped through your fingers. You don't want to live like that anymore. You don't want your habits to be ruled by moods. You want strength. You want progress. And that means making decisions based on discipline, not emotion. Build the skill of working through emotional discomfort. It's not about forcing yourself to feel better. It's about learning how to work while you feel uncomfortable. The action itself will often start to shift your state. Sometimes your mind catches up to your body, but you won't know until you move. So move. Begin. Start with what you can control. Focus on one simple task, one action, one step. That's all it takes to turn the momentum. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. It's staying connected to your values when your motivation is missing. You value consistency, you value growth, you value results. So let those values lead the way. Don't chase a better mood, chase the action that reflects who you're becoming. The kind of person who still shows up, even when nothing feels right. That's someone who can be trusted. That's someone who will go far. Make it clear to yourself that quitting is not an option, that skipping what matters isn't acceptable. You might move slow, but you will move. You might struggle through it, but you won't stop. That's your new identity. That's the standard now. You're not the person who backs off when things feel off. You're the one who adjusts and stays in the fight. You're the one who honors their word even when the energy isn't there. Every time you push through one of those hard days, you get strong. You prove to yourself that you can handle the rough moments. You prove to yourself that you're not fragile, that you don't need the world to be perfect for you to perform. That's real confidence. Not the kind that comes from winning once, but the kind that comes from knowing you can show up anytime, anywhere. Let others wait for the right mindset. You act. Let others sit still until everything feels better. You move. Let others use their mood as a measurement of what gets done. You use your principles. That's the difference. And that difference is everything. It doesn't matter how you feel when you start. It matters that you start anyway. And once you do, you'll find that what felt impossible just minutes ago becomes manageable. Not because the situation changed, but because you changed how you responded to it. That's your edge. That's what makes you unstoppable. So no matter what's going on today, no matter how heavy or scattered things feel, do what matters anyway. Take care of your responsibilities. Honor your plans. Follow through on the promise you made to yourself. That's how you gain respect for yourself. That's how you build a mindset that doesn't collapse every time something feels off. You want results that last. Then don't tie your actions to your feelings. Tie them to your identity. You are someone who follows through. You are someone who does what's needed, even when your thoughts aren't clear, even when you don't feel your best, even when the entire day feels off. You still show up. You still move forward. That's the standard, and that's why you're going to win. Chapter 10. Train yourself to choose discipline over feeling good. Every day you wake up, you're given a choice between doing what feels good in the moment or doing what actually moves your life forward. Most people choose the temporary feeling. They pick comfort, ease, distraction because it feels better right now. But that feeling fades fast, and what's left is disappointment, regret, and the weight of everything that didn't get done. If you want to live differently, you have to train yourself to choose discipline over feeling good. Not once, not when it's convenient, but as a way of life. You build it like a muscle. You grow it through repetition, and you protect it with every decision you make. Discipline is not a mood. It's not something that shows up when you're in the right mindset. It's a decision you make regardless of how you feel. It's what keeps you going when your emotions are pulling you in the wrong direction. You don't wait for motivation. You don't hope for energy. You choose the action. You lock in on what matters, and you follow through even if your entire system is screaming for comfort. That's where your strength is built. In that exact moment where you could give in, but don't, you've seen what happens when you keep choosing what feels good. The short breaks that turn into wasted afternoons, the snacks that replace your meal plan, the scrolling that eats up your focus. You feel better for a second, but nothing gets better at your life. Because every time you say yes to what's easy, you say no to your goals. You tell your future that your current comfort means more than your progress, and that decision becomes a habit, one you carry with you into every part of your life. Training yourself to choose discipline means you stop giving power to your moods. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions. You stop making your actions depend on how the day feels. Instead, you make your actions depend on what needs to be done. You build a standard. You draw the line. And once that line is clear, you don't cross it. Even when you're tired. Even when you don't feel like it. You follow the plan you created when your mind was clear, not the feelings that show up when you're vulnerable. This doesn't mean you never rest. It means you stop confusing rest with avoidance. It means you stop treating every urge to pause as a valid reason to quit. Discipline doesn't mean pushing yourself until you collapse. It means knowing the difference between what helps you and what's just an excuse wrapped in comfort. You rest when it's planned, not when it's convenient. You slow down with purpose, not with guilt. You don't chase the easy feeling, you chase the meaningful outcome. You already know what discipline can do. Think back to a time you stuck with something even when it was hard. You felt it. That deep satisfaction that comes when you kept your word to yourself. That's the feeling you need to chase. Not the short bursts of pleasure, but the real lasting sense of progress. That's what makes the hard days worth it. That's what builds real confidence. Not the kind you talk about, the kind you carry without needing to prove anything. Your brain will try to talk you out of discipline. It will offer you alternatives. It will make you question the effort. It will promise you that skipping one time won't hurt, that you can get back to it later, that you deserve a break. That voice will sound kind. It will sound reasonable, but it's lying. Because the truth is, every decision either strengthens your discipline or weakens it. There is no neutral. You're either building momentum or breaking it. So how do you train it? You start by removing the debate. You stop asking yourself if you feel like it. You wake up and follow through. You treat your plan like it's a non-negotiable agreement. You don't renegotiate based on emotion. You execute. You work the plan. You get the task done. That's how discipline grows, through repetition, through showing up over and over, until it becomes who you are. You also need to reduce your exposure to comfort triggers. If your phone pulls you into distraction, turn it off. If certain habits make you lazy, change your environment. Don't just rely on willpower. Set yourself up to win. Discipline isn't about being stronger than everyone else. It's about making fewer decisions that lead to failure. Remove the temptations. Create structure. And then follow it. Especially on the days when you don't want to. You'll have moments when the pull toward feeling good is strong. When it feels like you're missing out. When you question why you're working so hard. That's normal. But in those moments, remind yourself why you started. Remind yourself what's on the line. Your future is not built through easy days. It's built through disciplined action, when everything in you wants the opposite. That's the battle, and it's one you win, by refusing to lose to your own weakness. Start making your identity match your choices. When you choose discipline, you're telling yourself that you're someone who gets things done. Someone who doesn't back down. Someone who doesn't make excuses. And the more often you act like that person, the more that identity sticks. Soon you won't need to think about discipline. It will become automatic. A default setting. The way you operate, not the exception. Discipline is freedom. It may not feel like it at first, but it is. Because when you control your actions, you control your life. You don't have to keep fixing mistakes caused by laziness. You don't have to carry the guilt of another skipped task. You get to move forward without carrying the weight of regret. That's what discipline gives you. Space, strength, confidence, clarity. Feeling good is a trap when it becomes your priority. It pulls you into cycles that steal your progress. It promises quick relief and delivers long-term damage. You have to see through it. You have to train your brain to recognize the difference between what feels good and what is good, because they're not always the same. The feeling fades. The result stays. Think about the life you want. The one where you're proud of what you've built, where you don't hide from hard work, where you follow through on your word. That life is waiting, but it's only available to the version of you that chooses discipline. Not occasionally, daily, consistently, relentlessly, until it becomes second nature. You're not weak for wanting to feel good. You're human, but you're capable of more. You're capable of training yourself to act based on purpose, not pleasure. You're capable of showing up even when your emotions don't match your goals. You're capable of becoming someone who doesn't need to feel ready to get started. You've wasted enough time chasing comfort. Now it's time to build strength. Now it's time to put discipline in charge. You'll slip sometimes. That's part of the process. But every time you get back on track, you get stronger. Every time you choose the harder path, your mind adapts, and eventually, the hard thing becomes normal. That's how you grow. That's how you win. This is the life you're building now. One choice at a time. One task at a time. One disciplined decision at a time. Let others keep chasing what feels good. You're choosing what's right. You're choosing the long game. You're choosing the version of yourself that's built, not imagined. And that version doesn't wait around hoping for a better mood. That version gets up, gets focused, and gets it done every single time.